Hello and welcome to this tutorial on Yahki and eSafety. Yahki has been designed to keep its users safe online. Today, Yahki users range from children in primary school through to high school students, teenagers, adult learners, and general members of the public. And so in terms of eSafety and Yahki, you could say there are different strokes for different folks. Yahki adapts to the eSafety needs of people of different ages, understanding their development, their privileges, and their rights as users online to be safe. So that said, this tutorial will focus on the needs of children in particular, especially in the school and home-to-school setting. There are two overriding dimensions to eSafety in Yahki. One is in the overall design of Yahki, how it's set up, the safety mechanisms, the restrictions and rights that users have within and around Yahki from a software point of view. The second way that you can see eSafety supported within Yahki is in terms of the approach that Yahki takes to teaching and learning, the approach that teachers and students adopt as they use Yahki for school and extending learning into the home. First, let's look at the design features within Yahki that support eSafety for children. Probably the most unique and overriding design feature in Yahki is what we call the channel. When I go to my profile as a user, whether I'm an adult or a student, I have the option of being able to work within the public domain or more specifically within my school channel. The school channel is a walled garden experience for young Yahki users. In this way, children can share and create their ideas for learning, work with their teachers and peers that only they and their teachers and peers can see. And so in this way, members of the general public, including those who may seek to harm or impinge on the students' privacy or freedoms, cannot see what's happening in the channel. What's happening in the channel with the students and their teachers is private just to them. This is a really important differentiator for Yahki as a safe social learning environment for schools and colleges. And so now, if you are a teacher or education leader, you might be wondering, how do you set up the Yahki education channel for your students so they can enjoy this safe environment for learning? To do that is very simple. Simply go to the Yahki site, even from the home page, click on the index here, take the link to Education Channels. Here you will see information about the education channel concept, how it all works. There's a video on what the channel means for teachers, students, leaders and parents. And there are different options available, including a free option for up to 45 students and 2 teachers from your school. Also, if you search on Yahki FAQs, Yahki FAQ will take you to a set of helpful tutorials on how to set up your Yahki education channel, how to use Yahki to share as a curation tool, to mash up, and so on. These are all developed to assist teachers, students, other members of school communities make the most and to be safe within Yahki. Anonymity with regards to students' names in Yahki is another way in which students can stay safe in Yahki. In this example, we see students who are publishing in the public Yahki domain but are doing so without their last name being known or their first name, depending on the different school policies. In other examples, we see schools around the world who protect students' identity online in the public channel, often with high school senior students, where you will find examples such as here, where a student's last name has been synthesized in some way by mixing up letters that have some relationship to their last name, but clearly shrouding their identity from the public. For many schools, though, particularly for younger learners, the public channel is not used. It is the Yahki channel, as mentioned before, which becomes the primary publishing and sharing environment of the younger learners. Another intentional eSafety feature of Yahki, and this applies both to public Yahki as well as the school channel or college channel Yahki, is that there is no private messaging facility within Yahki. There is the ability for teachers or students to engage in the channel in discussions, such as we see an example here of a discussion over facts in relation to ancient Greece. These young learners have a discussion, including their teacher, on aspects of Greek history. But there is nowhere that secret conversations can be held by the students. Everything is fully visible to the teacher and to other class members. It's a totally transparent environment. Yahki is also a moderated environment. Yahki ensures the content is appropriate for users in general in the public domain, and in the channel environment there are safeguards for users as well, such as here, where there can be a crowdsourcing of users who see a particular story as inappropriate for some reason, and I'm not suggesting this story is inappropriate, by the way, but if it was, the user or any number of users can report this issue, and that will in some extreme cases be removed automatically, and in others it will be reviewed. For the avoidance of doubt, a further eSafety feature within Yahki is that as a web environment, Yahki is subject to all the internet filtering that your school may have in place. So in that sense, there is an additional safeguard of the school filtering, blocking contents or elements of content within what might otherwise be an okay story. Perhaps one of the most powerful and fundamental features of Yahki is its integration with mainstream social media. And so when we're talking about students who are a little older, who are old enough to be authorized users of, say, Twitter, Facebook, Flickr, or YouTube, Yahki plays the right balance in firstly enabling those older secondary school, high school students to engage with their social media, but within the moderation of the channel and all the safety mechanisms that I mentioned before in relation to the school channel. So in this particular scenario, and I'm a teacher in this scenario, but I could be a student, here you see that I have access to all of my personal tweets chronologically, those tweets that I have favorited, because Yahki has a handshake or an API, as they say, with Twitter and the other social media. And so here are my favorites. I can see all of my content from Facebook. This is my personal account. There's some members of the Yahki team there, as well as from my Flickr account and from my YouTube account as well. If I was creating a blog, say on learning theory, there may be a particular YouTube video that I've created that I add to my story. There may be an interesting tweet. I saw one here from one of the American educators the other day that took my interest. I might add that, and I might add one of my own. So here I've taken elements of social media which I have engaged with from the mainstream social media networks of which I'm a member as a student, or in my case as a teacher, and I can publish those to the safety of my channel. So let me just do that now. And here we have that interesting balance where I have been able to incorporate social media, which is personal to me, and then mash it up. I could have elaborated with other ideas on, in this case, learning theory, and then shared it, but shared it within the safety of my school or college channel. In other words, out of view of the general public and the world at large. So they are the main functional features of Yahki with respect to eSafety. Now let's look at the eSafety aspects of Yahki from the point of view of the approach, the way users use Yahki, and the way that Yahki is used by children at school and at home. When looking at eSafety research, there's a clear evidence that you can tell students, and students can tell themselves over and over, that they will be safe online, but when they get online, they do things that aren't safe. And so the research also says that the best way to enhance the safety of students or young people online is to actually provide them with opportunities to learn to engage safely online. In other words, a traditional approach may be that we simply say, oh, the internet is dangerous, it's not safe, and we take a put our head in the sand position and simply block everything and hope that the issue will go away. But the research says that when you do that as a school community, you create a void. You create a missing piece in terms of the students' skill development. That is, there's a deficit in terms of the students or the young person's development of their digital literacy, or more specifically, their digital citizenship. And so Yahki allows educators and the community to take their head out of the sand and to actually provide students with positive and developing opportunities to become more safe and more responsible as digital citizens. And this is on top of the functional elements we've already spoken about. So what are some examples of the eSafety that's implied within the Yahki approach? Let's look at a few. Firstly, Yahki is designed such that students and teachers take greater responsibility for managing their own e-portfolio. Their online presence is in their hands, and so their responsibility is developed as students maintain and curate stories, initially within the channel sphere, but as they become older, they move into the larger pond of the public domain, and by this time they have a curated collection of items, which can be the text they have written over time, for which they would want to show development as a learner, the videos that they have been collecting over time, the photographs they have been collecting, the texts from other people that they have collected either through browsing or searching over time across all subject areas, and other texts that they have sought over time, and a full repository or database of all the sites from which they have collected these various items, on top of the ones they have made themselves. A second area where students develop their eSafety and overall digital citizenship is in relation to the comments they make on each other's works and the comments they make on their own work. In this example, we see high school students at a boys' school in this example, where the boys were studying gendered marketing. They watched the documentary and then developed their ideas around gender roles. And here we see these high school boys engaged in a fairly highly developed discussion around the issues of gender marketing. Now, this is the kind of gap that is being filled through the use of Yahki, rather than simply cutting off the students' ability to be able to engage in this way, in collaboration and discussion, and sometimes in mature debate. They are provided the opportunity to do so and to become more mature in the responses they make in social media, which is very valuable for them in later life. Of course, students don't start with this kind of comprehensive online discussion. They may begin with short statements, but with Yahki, teachers and the students themselves and the parents are able to track the development of the students in their maturity in comments. And so we come to the close of this eSafety Yahki tutorial. If you go to the Index tab again, you'll see that there's a contact link here. If you go to the contact page, you can email Yahki or phone us at our various locations worldwide to discuss any eSafety questions or issues that you have at your school. At Yahki, we're here to support you and to make your school community more successful as a digitally literate and effective learning community. For more information about the Yahki Education channel, go to this link. As mentioned, if you scroll to the bottom where there are the offers, you can choose an offer and request your own safe Yahki channel. The form takes about a minute to fill out, and activation of your channel for your school is immediate, with the full use of the service being made available to your school once Yahki validates your school. In this way, all members of Yahki know that other users are legitimate school users.